Hi, Wayne Atkins again with another installment of An Atheist Discusses Biblical Inerrancy. If you want to know a little bit about my background, you can check out the first section in this series, part 1. This time I want to talk about Jesus Christ's prophecy that he would be buried in the ground for 3 days and 3 nights, and whether or not that was fulfilled. Now, Jesus is recorded in Matthew 12:40 as saying, "For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." The dilemma is his assertion that he would be in the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. This is supposed to be a prophecy about his death, burial, and resurrection, but according to the accounts in the Gospels, he was not in the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. He was crucified on Friday, day before the Sabbath, Mark 15:42, Luke 23:54, and John 19:31. Mary went early in the morning on the first day of the week and found the body gone, Matthew 28:16, Mark 16:2, and Luke 24:1. Also John 21. That's chapter 20, verse 1. So he was there, according to the Gospels, Friday night, Saturday night, and he was gone Sunday morning. Now, in Jewish reckoning, a day is an evening and a morning, and any part of a day may be counted as one day. That's what we're told. But here, we have a specific statement of 3 days and 3 nights that simply cannot be reconciled with a Friday crucifixion and a Sunday resurrection. If we count Friday as one day, Saturday as one day, and even Sunday as one day, even though he was gone Sunday morning, we can get 3 days. But we can only count Friday night and Saturday night in the tomb. He was gone by Sunday morning. There were simply not 3 nights involved, as Jesus had said. Now, of course, apologists have tried to explain this away as a non-contradiction. The most popular explanation is that when Jesus said 3 days and 3 nights, he didn't really mean 3 days and 3 nights. They claim that any part of a night or day can count as the whole night, can count as the whole day or night in Jewish reckoning, so that after 3 days and 3 nights can really mean 3 days later. How do they support this idea? Well, I'll show you. There are 2 parts to the alleged explanation. For the first, let's look at 1 Samuel chapter 30, verses 12 and 13. "He ate and was revived, for he had not eaten any food or drunk any water for 3 days and 3 nights. David asked him, 'To whom do you belong, and where do you come from?' And he said, 'I'm an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite. My master abandoned me when I became ill 3 days ago.'" And here they say is a clear example in which the guy had not eaten for 3 days and 3 nights, and yet in the same verse his master abandoned him 3 days ago. He was abandoned 3 days ago, there are only 2 nights covered, and yet it says 3 days and 3 nights. But let's do something here that Christians always claim we don't do enough of. Let's look at the verse in context. The very next 2 verses say, "And they gave him a piece of cake of figs, and 2 clusters of raisins, and when he had eaten, his spirit came again unto him. For he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water, 3 days and 3 nights. And David said unto him, 'To whom belongest thou, and whence art thou?' And he said, 'I'm a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite. And my master left me because 3 days and 3 nights, my master left me because 3 days had gone, I fell sick.'" Now, there are 2 distinct timelines here. He had not eaten for 3 days and 3 nights. His master left him because 3 days ago he fell sick. The word translated sick here is chala, to be or become weak. If he hadn't eaten for some period before, he could have become weak from not eating. In any case, you can't equate these 2 expressions when they are describing 2 different things. In other words, one timeline is how long he hadn't eaten, the other timeline was how long ago his master had left him. 2 entirely different timelines. There are other verses like these used to try to make the same argument, but in each case that I've seen, there are 2 distinct timelines being discussed, and the terms cannot be equated. The second part of the explanation is to invoke the concept of onas. They quote Rabbi Eleazar ben Azariah discussing onas in the Talmud. "A day and a night are an ona. It's a portion of time. And the portion of an ona is as the whole of it. So in Jewish reckoning, 3 days and 3 nights means 3 onas, or 3 periods of time, and only a portion of each period needs to be covered. Now, the word ona literally means time period. In the context of the laws of Niddah, it usually refers to a day or a night. Each 24-hour day thus consists of 2 ona. The daytime ona begins at sunrise and ends at sunset. The nighttime ona lasts from sunset until sunrise. Now, the only 2 places you'll find info on this ona is when referring to a woman's menstrual cycle and when trying to reconcile the crucifixion timeline. This is simply a concept that apologists have tried to hijack to explain this discrepancy. Azariah's quote doesn't even resolve the issue because he only claims that an ona could refer to a day and a night or any part of a day or night. The Bible doesn't use onas to describe the time frame for the resurrection. The words used are 3 yom, it's a day as opposed to night, and 3 leo, night as opposed to day. By using words that specify day as opposed to night, and night as opposed to day, it eliminates the possibility that the writer meant each day and night as only part of a day or part of a night. As for using the Talmud to prove this was a Jewish idiom of the day, there are additional problems. Other places in the Talmud would disagree with Rabbi Azariah on the length of an ona. You can see here, what is the length of an ona? And you can see that citing one rabbi, a normal ona is 30 days, but citing another, it's 20 days. So it's not really clear how long an ona was. There was some dispute among rabbis in the Talmud. Now, the Talmud is basically a collection of commentary and arguments by rabbis, and they don't always agree. Now, pulling the opinion of one rabbi out of the Talmud hardly makes for concrete proof of what was Jewish consensus in Jerusalem at the time of the crucifixion, especially when you consider that the Talmud was begun in the 2nd century and not completed until the 5th century. Also, despite being named the Jerusalem Talmud, it was actually written in Tiberias, and the Babylonian Talmud was written in Babylon, of course. So the commentary of one rabbi from the Talmud would hardly be proof of a Jewish idiom widely being accepted 100 years earlier in a different country. So there you have it. Jesus is recorded as saying that he would be in the ground 3 days and 3 nights. He clearly wasn't according to the gospel accounts. Apologists' attempts to reconcile this very specific prediction with the timeline given in the Gospels are merely smoke and mirrors. They've not made the case from elsewhere in the Bible that 3 days and 3 nights can mean the same as 3 days later. They've invoked the concept of onas, taken from the Talmud and not from these verses, to dupe their more gullible readers into thinking that there simply is no contradiction. Some have even proposed a Wednesday crucifixion scenario to try to explain it away, which actually further convolutes the timeline given in the Gospels. Now, there is one very simple explanation, staring them in the face, that explains this and every other contradiction in the Bible. The Bible is the flawed work of flawed men, not the inspired, inerrant work of a perfect deity.